Welcome to the inUpowers podcast, where we give a name and a face to emotion. We discuss the real and raw when it comes to mental and emotional health. We are here to teach you that emotions are information and behavior is a choice. We want to help you make safer connections through healthy communication by empowering you to understand what your emotions are telling you. I'm your host, Tammy Hymas. Let's get started. Welcome to the inUpowers podcast. I'm Tammy Hymas, your host, and today we have with us Ashely Seare. Ashely has been, she was in my chair and she's a mom, but she helped me design beUtofullness and the start of the inUpowers. And more than that, she's phenomenal. She's an entrepreneur. She's a woman entrepreneur. She runs Greenwood Design House, which is awesome. She can do everything. She's super talented. She actually, we had sketches of the characters. I'm like, Ashely, can you touch them? Because she made them 3D and fantastic, and she's phenomenal. I truly, truly love her, and she's a mom of 5, and she is incredibly active. In fact, she's a triathlete. She's like no joke. In fact, we're going to do this, and then she's going, where are you going after this?
Oh, whitewater rafting.
With whom?
My 2 older girls.
Because she's a rock star. For reals, guys. Ashley's amazing. And I'm going to do another shout out. It's Greenwood Design House. And she's super talented. Go check her out. See what she can do. She's amazing. And I adore her. And weird thing. Guess where I met her? Behind my chair. Because my chair was full of the most phenomenal people. And I'd be like, I have this idea. What do you think? And I would tell her, I have this idea. And she goes, I can draw that. And she can. And she did. And today, for a moment, I want us to talk about, for our Moments Minute, I want us to talk about perspective, about maybe challenging yourself to see it a different way. I feel like in our society and the political climate and all of that, we've gotten very divisive. And we assume our bias is the only right way, which might be for you, but that somebody else can have a right way to see something. So on that note, we're going to introduce you to Ashely. Ashely, say hi.
Hey.
Was there anything in the introduction I didn't say that I should have?
No, it's pretty thorough. Yeah. I mostly coach mountain biking now with the kids, and it's a lot of fun. And so my kids are chomping at the bit to join the team, and we just have a great time, and it's really great.
Yeah, so they're following your active footprints.
Yeah, and I've heard quotes that if you want your kids to be active, then your moms should be active. And I like to be active, and that's not mom shaming if you're not. Your activity is in different ways. Mine is more outdoorsy because that's what I enjoy. But your kids really do follow your example and how you lead. And then your husbands can support you in that too. And so it's been great. It's been a great dynamic for the family because everyone is involved in different ways and it works together. So.
She's a rockin' mom of 5. Not only does she run her business, but she's very involved in her children's life. And once again, I adore your kiddos. I've known them for a long time. I love them.
Yeah.
They're pretty special to me. Anyway, and you're going to find that out with all my first guests, that I'm introducing you to my circle. And as you've watched and heard the video and the story, you've heard what a phenomenal team I have. And my first guest is Ashely, who actually became one of the very first people to ever see the inUpowers or even make them anything. So we worked on beUtofullness together.
Yes, we did. I loved it, and I still love beUtofullness, and I think my favorite parts about that program were we're all exactly differently the same, and that was powerful. And then another thing that was more powerful to me was that, you don't choose how you look. You're born, you didn't choose your hair color, you didn't choose that. I didn't choose to have gray hair, but I have it.
And it's gorgeous.
And I was just yeah, I didn't choose it, so why do I keep covering it up? It's a pain in the butt, and who's giving me this message that I have to cover my gray hair and my streaks or my pepperiness or whatever? And so I play with it. So I'll highlight it to blend it in more, but that's so I can help grow it out. So my life goal now for my hair is I don't know, I want to be a silver fox. That'd be so fun.
Well, I think you're
silver
on.
and
The
pepper
fox
and
already existed.
That would be fun.
We just need the link to get silver.
Yeah. So it's fun. I don't know. And so that's just one way I felt like that helped me accept myself. And because I can say, like, I have so many insecurities. And I feel like a lot of people's perspective is that they see this stronger exterior. But I'm like, dude, you don't even know what's going on behind the scenes. Like, in this mind. And like I have pretty significant social anxiety, which
you would never know.
You wouldn't.
Even if you saw her in public, you would never
People
know.
are like, you're so confident and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, you know, and in the moment, I think I can be present in that space. But afterwards, there's like a hangover. And like an emotional hangover at times.
I have social hangover. That's adorable. We might coin that phrase.
Yeah, there you go. But one thing I've learned is that things that I feel insecure about or afraid about, those, as much as I hate to admit it, are the areas that I can push in and I can grow. And it is probably like the hardest journey in trying to do that. But I have learned along the ways when I've pushed into those areas of vulnerability where I'm scared or afraid or I feel like people doubt me. If my goal is to try and, I guess I'm always trying to fix myself, or I feel like I need to get over this anxiety, or I can be better, or whichever. Like, and I think we all do that, and because we want to improve ourselves. But I've found that if I can find that space to finally start to challenge that limiting belief, that insecurity, that voice that says I can't do it, or I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough. But if I just take a step to try, then things actually start opening up. And I honestly can say I have not regretted a moment where I've tried to do that. And people have showed up, like the triathlons, that was a huge one. And I ran into my coach by chance, and he basically had all this experience with half Ironmans and everything, and knew that we were going to die if he didn't help us.
You're going to try this, but because you don't know what you're doing, you're going to die.
Because he's like, well, how are you going to do the bike? I'm like, I was just going to rent a bike from the bike shop. And he's like, a mountain bike? I'm like, yeah. He's like, no, you cannot ride that bike. So he let me borrow his road bike, and then he took me out and showed me the ropes. And when it comes to triathlons, open water swimming is my biggest hurdle, because everyone has different schedules, and doing half Ironmans and stuff is a lot of work and a lot of 4 a.m. mornings of training, and swimming in a Rigby Lake by yourself in the dark is like insanely nerve-wracking. And anyways, but it helped to have my coach in that corner, who just happened to show up once my friends and I decided to try this harebrained idea of doing a half Ironman. And
Firefox.
Yes.
Harebrained
idea. And the right people showed up. But again, it's like, because we took that first step, and it's hard. And I was thinking about the last race I just did and about what triathlons taught me, and I'm like, you know what? It's taught me to show up for me.
Right.
And that it feels so counterintuitive, and it feels hard because you want other people to show up for you. Like, who doesn't want someone cheering for you and stuff like that?
We all need a cheering track.
Exactly. But in the end, sometimes things happen. People can't show up to your race, or you're there on your own. So why are you there? Why are you stepping up to the starting line? And sometimes I was like, I don't know, but I know I love this. And so, okay, look, if I love this, I'm going to have to show up for me to do this. So you show up for the work. And one quote that I found that I loved during this season was, you can continue to sleep with your dreams, or you can rise up and chase them.
There you go.
And so I'm like, okay, insecurity makes me want to stay in bed and sleep with my dreams, or I can punch it in the face and get up and
okay. She's talking about punching her fear in the face, her insecurity, not anyone else. We're going to make sure you guys know we are a non-violent podcast.
Yes. We're very positive.
In fact, with all of this, you told me at the beginning you had a character that you really liked.
Yes. Pop is my favorite character out of all the inUpowers. I think they all work together beautifully and they balance each other out. But I think I like Pop the most because he represents perspective, and he's the one that can see both sides, and he can see down the road, like, I can see your point of view and I can see this, but with my experience or my perspective that I have, this is a suggestion to help you find success. And as a parent, I was just thinking about this actually this morning before coming onto the podcast. I'm like, I really do love Pop because, one of my girls is kind of having a hard time. And she's in it right now. Like, she's in that time of her life where she's 12. And so she's encountering that point where neurologically they have the most changes in your brain as a teenager happen in this period of time.
Yes.
Which is why teenagers are crazy. And
okay, guys, I was going to say you're not crazy, but honestly, so much is happening in your brain and hormones are flooding your body that we are just grateful we all got through it. And you will too. Yes. If you're listening to us.
And I'm trying to relate to her. And I'm like, I know what you're going through. Like, I can remember these times and similar experiences. But when you're in it, it's hard to see that around you.
Right.
And so, but as a parent, you have that perspective. Like, Pop has that perspective. So now it's like, okay, my job is now, how do I help her not feel like I'm trying to force her to do something, but help, like, guide her and lead her and help, like, you know, we got you. Like, you can, if you can trust me, then this will work out better.
And these are our first episodes, and so I want to remind people who Pop is. Pop is our brain.
Yes.
He's full of wisdom and courage, and he has far-sighted glasses, and his glasses are really fun. They're a P and a D, and depending on which side you stand on, you can either see a P perspective, or if your footprints are on the other side of the letter on the ground, you see a D perspective. So they're perspective discernment glasses. He also has a gold, which is his proof of living pole, and he leans on his proof of living pole to walk. So he chooses to live in pain instead of suffer in pain.
Right.
And his name is Progress Over Perfection. So that's Pop. So you keep hearing Pop over and over again. I wanted you to know who he was verbally, so that those of us who are listening to us, they can actually let us know, like, well, we can help you with who it is. In fact, I actually have a picture of you with your daughter, and you were drawing the side view of Pop.
Oh, fun.
And he was more of a cotton candy cloud.
Yeah, I remember those early stages of Pop.
Very early stages. He kind of looked like a kid in a bean at first, especially when I drew it, until McKenna came, and then Ashely came, and it's just been phenomenal. Anyway, you were like, well, we have to look like more like a brain. So she's like on her phone looking at, like, raw brains.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you're like, a lot's happened
a lot.
since then. Triathlons, different homes moving, children, 5 kids, that's a lot. But she was like, no, he needs this and he needs that. And it was like you were connecting to him at the very, very beginning. In fact, Ashely drew the first Yubi after my stick figure Yubi.
Yep, I remember him.
And the very first Wham.
Yeah. No, I think Pop was probably one of my favorite characters to illustrate. So.
Was he?
Yeah. He's just so bubbly and round and happy.
And doing it.
Yeah.
He tries. In fact, everything you've talked about the mountain biking, about being a mom of 5, about your children, and what you're doing right after this episode, whitewater rafting, guys, seriously, she's a rock star entrepreneur mom, and I'm doing another shameless plug, deal with it. Greenwood Design House. If you want to go there, she's amazing. Anyway, just all the things, you always try.
Yes. Because what's the worst that can happen? You fail. But it's not even failing. You just learned how to do it a different way.
What? Would you say that again like 3 more times?
Right?
Okay, say it one more time at least.
So there's winning, right?
Right.
And you still learn. But if you fail, it's not failing. It's you learned.
Right.
You learned how to do something differently. So.
Yes.
And it's experience. You are still more than when you started. And it might feel like a setback, like maybe you didn't reach that goal, but you gained the experience, and that is a +1 from where you were before. So we need to celebrate the failures and lean into the vulnerability that you might mess up, but you'll be more at the end.
Yeah, and you're calling it failure. I always say it's like, oh, I made a mistake. I'm like, no, that was your stake in the game.
Oh,
like, that's
I love
my
that.
Stake.
Yeah.
Like, my stake in the game was me falling on my face or trying to do a podcast or whatever I attempted to do, because you've watched me attempt a lot of stuff.
Hey. Yeah. No, it's awesome.
In fact, I also remember during COVID when we had to shut down the salon, and I was still behind the chair at the time, and you and I spent a lot of time on Zoom designing and creating, and we shared an earthquake together.
Oh, that's right. You're like, is that an earthquake? I'm like, I don't know. Like, your chandelier's like shaking. I was like, oh, I guess it is. Wow, that's an earthquake.
And I'm like, oh no, I'm on the phone with Ashely and the world might be coming to an end. That's how it felt during COVID for me.
That was
But
funny.
we have so many experiences together, and I am just so super grateful you've been a part of this journey and all that you have brought to everything. She's always been able to take what I'm saying out of my head and make it make sense to others, and I am incredibly grateful for her and her friendship and her family and her love. And I want you to be able to say something you want to tell everyone. Anything you want to say to this podcast, to anyone out there, what would you like them to know or say, or what would it's your turn. Whatever you want about whatever you want.
That's hard. I don't know, the first word that popped into mind was vulnerability, and to embrace vulnerability, and because that's where your greatest growth is going to be, is in your vulnerability. And it's scary, and you know what, it's okay. It's okay to be scared, it's okay to be afraid, and it's okay to not know the answers. And as long as you try, if you're willing to push into that, it might hurt.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, you're going to grow so much from it. And it's like anything is possible. And you have more power and capability than you know. And we let our limiting beliefs, okay, side note, limiting beliefs, they mean well. They want to keep us safe.
We call them NATs, negative automatic thoughts.
There you go, yeah. So they're just trying to keep you safe, like, oh, no, that's going to hurt. Like, let's not cause pain. And so we shy away from it, we run from it, we hide from it, we do everything we can to avoid it. And sometimes that's not accurate. Like, sometimes there won't be pain. And, I don't know, you
don't have to feed the scared thought.
Right. And people, I kid you not, people come, it's insane. Like, even yesterday, okay, sidetrack, it's like mountain biking. I have a 2 out of Sienna, and it's my mountain bike, and I have my 2 older girls and their mountain bikes. We have 3 mountain bikes, and then when we go to compete at competitions or whatever, then we're camping overnight. I can shove 3 full-size mountain bikes and camping gear for 3 girls, which is not light, into my minivan, and there you go. There you have it.
She is a rock star packer, too.
But life would be easier if I had a hitch on my van. So we actually sold one of our vehicles, and I bought a hitch, and my friend's like, yeah, well, I installed my hitch. And I'm like, all right, cool. So, yeah, you probably install your hitch. And I was just like, yeah, right. And so we started talking about it. They were going to help me. And we kind of consulted how we're going to do this hitch thing. And I realized, I'm like, okay, my job was to take the fascia off the bottom of the van. And it's just popping off some screws and things. Like, I can handle that. And they were going to come over later. So I had the prep work. And as I'm going, I'd watch the installation video. And I'm like, I think I could do that. And I was already under my van, so I put on the strap for the exhaust, popped off the gaskets to get the exhaust lowered, and then I cut off the piece of the fascia that we needed to make the adjustments for the hitch, and then I actually got some help lifting up the hitch, and then we bolted it into place. And then my friends were going to come because they had the torque wrench to get it to spec.
Uh-huh.
And they got us that far, and then all that was left was putting the gasket back up. And this took over, it was 2 days because I had to go to mountain bike practice, so they came and did their little torque wrench thing while I was gone. So I just had to put the exhaust back. But now with the hitch in place, I couldn't just get under the van anymore. Like, I would be shimmying very tightly and with little room to move. So it meant we had to jack up the van, and my friend gave me the lift and the jack stands, and I got them on and set up just right, and no one was available at this time to help. But I also needed my van. I have 5 kids. I have places to go. I have to do things, and I needed to run. So I have to get the exhaust back in place. And I kid you not, I was terrified because now the difference was before the van was already on the ground. It couldn't go anywhere. And now the van is up and it can still come down. So that was where my fear was. And anyways, but I had a friend come by on his bike who was coming out for a ride, and he's like, hey Ashley, what's up? I'm like, honestly, I'm contemplating my life choices because I have to get this exhausted and I'm terrified of going under my van. And I'm like, well, you just spot me. I will go under, and if I know nothing will happen. So my insecurities and my fears were like, the van's gonna fall. This is gonna happen. Like, irrational thoughts.
All those voices so loud in your head.
And that's where I'm like, okay, I know that this probably isn't real, so I can push. There's a legit safety concern there.
Right.
But still, with all the precautions we took, everything about it was safe. And so it just felt better to have someone there just in case. And so when he showed up, I was like, you just spot me, okay? So if by some randomness this falls on me, you can call 911 and then jack it back up. And he was like, okay. And so I went and I took a deep breath and I shimmied under there, and then I was like working on putting the gasket pieces back up, and like, anyways, I got it together, and I even asked him, like, can you pass me that crowbar? And he's like, yep. And I'm like, oh man, this feels so great. Like, I'm doing this by myself. But really, like, I was stuck in that moment of fear of getting under the van, and this little last bit was going to be like maybe 10 minutes at most. But he showed up, and he just gave me the confidence just to be present.
But you were vulnerable enough to
Yeah.
ask for help.
Yes.
So many times our pride gets in the way, or our thinking, oh, I have to do it on my own, or they'll think silly of me. Our perspective might also keep us trapped in that insecure place.
Yeah.
And instead of dealing with insecure, you punched it in the face,
Yep.
found your vulnerable self, and asked for help.
And so facing your challenges and your fears, help is a great way.
And
asking for help.
Literally progress over perfection.
And because the worst case, I was like, if I can't get this on successfully, I know once my friend Dave and Tony, once they get off work, they can come back and help me,
right.
and they'll be more than happy to crawl under there. And they have more experience, so they've gotten over that fear of what happens if this happens or whichever.
Right.
But honestly, that fear reminded me of when I had to face swimming in Rigby Lake by myself. So like it was pretty intense, but after doing that, I was like, sweet. Okay, I don't have to do that again, but I did it. So, but yeah, it's just push into your vulnerabilities and
that's amazing.
Keep going.
Well, and when I was looking at the word vulnerable, if you look at it, it literally has a you are able in the word. Mm-hmm. So when you're feeling vulnerable, know that you are able, and that's a great place to be. Also, we want to challenge you to see mm-hmm. things from another perspective.
Yeah.
To know that there's two choices. Do I lean into the fear, or do I lean into the progress? And are you scared to make a mistake? Are you scared of failing? Probably, but your failure could be your stakes in the games. They're not mistakes, they're my stakes. And Ashely, we are so grateful you were able to join us on our podcast. And I am thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You have been an angel, and you have been a rock, and you have been able to help me get so much out of my head for so long. I am so super grateful that you sat in my chair to start out with.
That was awesome. I love your chair.
I do too. I miss it. But I have to do this.
No,
I get to do this. I get to do this.
We got new chairs now.
We do have new chairs. Anyways, we are super grateful. Your challenge is to see it from another perspective. Challenge your biases, challenge your fear, and know that you could do anything. And thank you so much, Ashely Seare, this mama entrepreneur of 5 that has to hurry and go whitewater rafting with her kids. Greenwood House Design House. Oh my goodness, there goes my special
Greenwood
stuff.
Design House, you did.
Say it, thank you. And remember, emotions are information, behavior's a choice, and you are brilliantly made to be great. Till next time. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the inUpowers podcast. We are grateful you are here. Please share this podcast with those you know who might need it, and follow and rate us so we can continue providing this podcast to you. Follow us on social media to see more visuals about the inUpowers, and join us next week for another episode. Until then, remember, the power to choose is in you.